On 3rd May, Russian President Vladimir Putin said in a telephone conversation with his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron that despite Kiev's unpreparedness for serious work, Russia remained open to a dialogue. President Putin explained the fundamental approach to negotiations with the Ukrainian representatives. In particular, he stressed that despite Kiev's inconsistency and unpreparedness for serious work, Russia remained open to a dialogue. Last time, Putin and Macron talked by telephone on March 29. Deputy Chairman of the Russian Security Council added that Ukrainian President will continue to beg the West for weapons and money and immediate concern for Ukraine. But actually, Zelensky does not need any peaceful settlement. He also said Zelensky in the future will keep begging the West for money and weapons, trying to prove he is still in the game and he is the hope of the liberal world, that he is the last stronghold of European democracy, which a bear in a cotton pad jacket wants to tear apart. He said Zelensky does not need any peace treaty. For him, peace is the end. President Putin tells Macron that the European Union countries ignore war crimes committed by the Ukrainian forces. It was stressed that the European Union member countries ignore war crimes committed by the Ukrainian forces and massive bombardments of Donbas villages and cities, which kill peaceful civilians. President Putin also briefed French President Emmanuel Macron on the liberation of Mariupol and the evacuation of civilians from the Azovstal plant. He said there was another exchange of opinions on the situation in Ukraine. The Russian president briefed his French counterpart on progress in the special military operation to protect the Donbas republics, including the liberation of Mariupol and the evacuation of civilians held by the nationalists at the Azovstal plant in accordance with the agreement achieved at President Vladimir Putin's meeting with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on April 26. Russia and Ukraine have held intermittent peace talks since the end of February 2022, just days after Russia first launched a war. Russian President Vladimir Putin squashed hope of an imminent peace deal on April 12 when he said that the talks have begun return to a dead-end situation for us. The first track of negotiation took place in Belarus during the early weeks of the war. The political issues related to resolving the principal disagreements between Russia and Ukraine in the longer term perspective includes the status of the occupied territories, security guarantees for Ukraine, Ukraine's neutrality and non-nuclear status, and so forth. In parallel with discussions more directly related to the conflict itself, such as a permanent ceasefire, POW exchanges, evacuation efforts, and access by humanitarian aid organizations. Today, Russia wants the control of the city of Mariupol, expansion of the self-styled Donbas People's Republics to the limits of their oblast administrative borders, a permanent military presence in Kherson Oblast sufficient to guarantee fresh water supplies to Crimea, and preservation of the land bridge connecting the separatist controlled territory in the Donbas with the occupied Crimean Peninsula by the way of the Sea of Azov coast and Kherson Oblast. This would be enough for the Russian government to declare victory. In summary, it could be said that the status of Crimea and the Donbass is a key issue on the negotiators' agenda, owing to the enormous significance of the issue for the highly polarized domestic audiences of both Ukraine and finally, the modality of Ukraine's neutral status will be of high interest to Moscow and Kiev. Ukraine clearly wants to minimize any limitations on its sovereignty inscribed in any possible neutrality agreement, while Russia is expected to try to impose additional arms restrictions and weaken foreign security guarantees for Ukraine. Finally, it can be said that President Zelensky must come out to a final decision to solve the problem with Russia. Thank you.